The betrayal and exile. Humanity had always been ambitious. When they first joined the Galactic Council, they were seen as young but promising. They adapted faster than any other species, their technology advancing at an alarming rate. At first, the other species welcomed this. The humans shared their inventions, improved trade, and helped weaker planets grow. But soon, the Council members began to feel uneasy. The older empires, those who had ruled for thousands of years, watched in fear as humans became stronger. They were advancing too fast, building fleets that could rival the most powerful nations in the galaxy. It was unnatural, they thought. Dangerous. The whispers started in the shadows. What happens when humanity surpasses us? What if they decide to rule instead of cooperate? We must act before it's too late. At first, humanity ignored these rumors. They believed in diplomacy, in alliances. They thought their contributions to the galaxy would protect them. They were wrong. The Council's vote. The Galactic Council gathered in the Grand Hall of the core planet, a place where decisions that shaped the universe were made. Representatives from 100 species sat in a massive circular chamber, their eyes glowing with distrust. The human ambassador, Admiral Jonathan Pierce, stood before them. His voice was calm, controlled. We have always worked for peace. We have shared our knowledge, our discoveries. Why then do we hear whispers of betrayal? A massive reptilian alien, High Chancellor Zorvek of the Salvath Dominion, rose from his seat. His golden eyes locked onto Pierce. Because your kind is too dangerous. You expand too fast. You grow too strong. You are a threat to every species here. Pierce clenched his jaw. We have never attacked, never broken a treaty. We only seek to improve life for all. Another alien, a tall insectoid diplomat named Varketh, clicked its mandibles. And yet, in 200 years, you have advanced more than we have in 5,000. At this rate, you will rule the galaxy within a few centuries. The room fell into silence. That was the real reason. Fear. Then the vote began. One by one, the representatives cast their decision. Exile. Not war, not destruction, but total banishment from all known space. Earth would be stripped of its status. All human colonies would be forced to evacuate. Their ships would be forbidden from entering any controlled territory. Any attempt to return would be met with death. Humanity would be cast out into the void, left to die in the darkness of space. The Exodus. The betrayal hit harder than any war. Millions of humans across the galaxy were given only weeks to leave their homes. Some resisted. Small fleets fought against the Council's forces, but they were crushed. The enemy had been planning this for years. On Earth, chaos erupted. Crowds filled the streets, demanding justice. Soldiers, once loyal to the Council, now cursed the name of the species they once fought beside. Scientists scrambled to prepare ships, gathering every resource they could. There was no choice but to leave. A massive fleet of human ships, carrying what remained of their people, drifted into the unknown. Thousands of vessels, from warships to civilian transports, formed a desperate convoy. As they left, the Council made one final move. They destroyed Earth's jump gates, cutting humanity off from the galaxy forever. The message was clear. You are not welcome here. You never were. The endless dark. Days turned into weeks. The fleet traveled deeper into space, far beyond any known system. Supplies were running low. Tensions grew. People whispered about the end of humanity. We won't survive out here, some said. We should have fought back, others argued. But among them, there was hope. Admiral Pierce, now the de facto leader of humanity, stood before his people. They wanted to break us. They wanted us to die out here. But they forgot one thing. He looked across the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn. We are human. We do not break. We survive. That night, their sensors picked up something. A system filled with ancient ruins, a lost civilization's graveyard. Perhaps exile wasn't the end. Perhaps it was the beginning of something far greater. A new beginning in the void. The human fleet drifted through the endless void, surrounded by nothing but darkness. The cold expanse of space stretched infinitely in all directions, an unforgiving abyss that had swallowed many before them. Food supplies were dwindling, fuel reserves were running low, and morale was at its breaking point. But humanity had survived worse. Admiral Jonathan Pierce stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, staring at the holographic display before him. A sea of red indicators flashed across the screen. Low oxygen reserves, failing power grids, failing hope. How much longer can we keep this up? Asked Commander Lin, his second-in-command. Pierce exhaled slowly. Not long. If we don't find a system soon, we'll start losing ships. But then, the impossible happened. A blip appeared on the scanners. A system, a hidden one, unmarked on any galactic chart. The forgotten system. The fleet cautiously approached the unknown system, its sun burning dimly like an ancient ember. It had no name, no records, as if it had never existed in the Council's databases. But what they found inside changed everything. Massive structures, the ruins of an ancient civilization, stretched across a series of planets. Gigantic metal stations, derelict but intact, orbited the worlds below. This, Lin whispered, eyes wide. This isn't natural. Pierce agreed. Someone lived here, someone powerful. The fleet moved closer, scanning the derelict stations. What they found sent shivers down their spines. The remains of a civilization far more advanced than anything the Galactic Council had ever known. Even in ruin, the technology here was centuries ahead of anything humanity had ever seen. Admiral, one of the engineers reported, barely containing their excitement. These structures, they're still operational. We can restore them. Pierce looked out at the massive silent stations, abandoned for who knew how long. The Galactic Council had exiled them, thinking they had sent humanity to die. But instead, they had delivered them to power beyond imagination. The secrets of the ancients. The humans wasted no time. Landing parties were sent down to the abandoned worlds. What they discovered shocked them. The civilization that once thrived here had been wiped out. Not by war, not by disease, but by something unknown. Their ruins spoke of greatness, but their end was a mystery. Yet, their legacy remained. Massive underground vaults were discovered, filled with blueprints for hyper-advanced technology, starship schematics, energy weapons, self-sustaining colonies. Even eye-controlled defense systems still functioned. This is it, Pierce said, staring at the data they had uncovered. This is our second chance. Humanity had always been survivors. They adapted, they endured, and when faced with destruction, they'd rebuild. And now, they would rebuild stronger than ever. Rebuilding the future. The fleet settled into the system, turning the dead cities into thriving hubs of industry. The abandoned stations were brought back to life, their forgotten engines humming once more. Humans worked day and night, integrating their own knowledge with the ancient technology. Their ships became faster, their weapons deadlier, their minds sharper. What took other civilizations thousands of years to achieve, humanity accomplished in mere decades. They were no longer exiles. They were the architects of something new. And as their hidden empire grew, so did their hunger for answers. Who were the ones who built this civilization? What happened to them? And more importantly, was humanity truly alone here? The warning. One fateful night, a deep space probe, sent to explore the edges of the system, returned with a signal. It was old, ancient, repeating the same message in an unknown language. But when the AI translated it, the words made Pierce's blood run cold. They will return. The cycle never ends. The Galactic Council thought they had ended humanity's future, but they had only set them on the path to something greater. And now, the real battle was about to begin. The rise of the hidden empire. The human fleet had come a long way from being exiles. Once cast out from the Galactic Council like forgotten debris, they now stood on the shoulders of a lost empire, resurrecting technology that had been buried for millennia. But their time in the shadows was running out. As the vast stations powered back to life, as new warships left the docks with silent engines and weapons far deadlier than anything the Council had ever seen, one thing became clear. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were evolving. And soon, the galaxy would notice. The ghosts of the past. Deep within the largest ruin on the planet designated Eden Prime, a team of human engineers uncovered something strange. An intact AI core, still active despite thousands of years of abandonment. Dr. Evelyn Carter, one of the leading scientists of the fleet, stared at the glowing console. "This thing is still running," she whispered, placing a cautious hand on the surface. "More than that," her assistant said, voice shaking. "It's watching us." Then the console spoke. "You are not them." The voice was ancient, filled with something close to sorrow. The AI identified itself as Archivist 01, a remnant of the lost civilization that once ruled this system. Through fragmented data, the AI revealed pieces of a horrifying truth. The civilization that built this place was wiped out by an unknown force. Not by war, not by plague, but by something that hunted them across the stars. This isn't just an abandoned empire, Carter realized. This was a battlefield. And we are standing in the ruins of the last stand. The warning from the deep space probe echoed in her mind. They will return. The cycle never ends. The silent war begins. Admiral Pierce stood before his officers, looking over the gathered commanders of the new human empire. "We are no longer beggars scraping for survival," he said, voice calm but firm. "We have built something no one else has. The Council exiled us, thinking they had rid themselves of a threat." He turned, activating the massive holodisplay in front of them. It showed something terrifying. Hundreds of Council warships moving through nearby sectors. "They're looking for us," Lynn murmured. Pierce nodded. "And they can't find us." Not yet. Humanity had stayed hidden for decades, but now their power had outgrown secrecy. So they did what they did best. They adapted. Instead of openly attacking, they sent phantom ships, silent vessels equipped with stealth technology that hacked into enemy networks, stole classified information, and erased all traces of their growing empire. Across the galaxy, Council supply depots mysteriously lost entire shipments. Battleships malfunctioned mid-flight. Communications networks glitched, spreading false reports. The Council knew something was wrong, but they had no idea who was responsible. The ghost of humanity had returned, and it was reshaping the galaxy from the shadows. The first encounter. Then, one day, humanity's cover was nearly blown. A small Council scouting fleet stumbled upon a remote outpost on the edges of human-controlled space. Their sensors picked up impossible readings, energy signatures that didn't match any known species, and when they got closer, they saw it. A massive human-built station, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was sleek, covered in a strange dark metal, and powered by technology the Council couldn't even begin to understand. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the human spoke first. "This is restricted space. Turn back or be destroyed." The Council commander, a seasoned warrior named Valor Khan, scoffed. "By whose authority?" There was no hesitation in the response. "By the authority of the human empire." The Council's fear. The scout fleet returned to the Council in a panic. Their reports were met with disbelief. "Impossible," one of the councilors hissed. "The humans are dead. We exiled them." Valor Khan shook his head. "Then explain what I saw. Explain the ships, the weapons, the station." He hesitated before saying, "They are more advanced than us now." The chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the Council felt fear. The very species they had tried to destroy had done the impossible. They had come back stronger. But what the Council didn't know was that humanity wasn't just preparing for survival anymore. They were preparing for war. And this time, it would be on their terms. The galaxy's war and humanity's return. The Galactic Council had ruled for millennia, their laws shaping the fate of countless species. They had believed humanity was eradicated, left to wither in the dark. They were wrong. For decades, humanity had grown in the shadows, building an empire in secret. And now, the galaxy stood on the edge of war, one they never saw coming. The Council's desperation. Panic spread through the Council's inner chambers like wildfire. Humanity was alive. Worse, they had technology beyond anything the Council had ever seen. The councilors argued, shouted, and blamed each other. Some wanted to negotiate, others demanded immediate war. But High Chancellor Zorvek, the very same alien who had once led humanity's exile, stood up and silenced them all. "We exiled them for a reason," he growled, his golden eyes burning with fury. "We feared what they could become. And now we see that fear was justified." He turned to his generals. "Mobilize the fleets. If the humans have returned, we will burn them out of existence." The Council agreed. They thought they were preparing for a simple war, ships against ships, soldiers against soldiers. But humanity had never fought a war like the others. They fought to win. Humanity's first strike. Before the Council fleets could even launch, human forces struck first. A massive explosion ripped through a Council shipyard, shattering thousands of warships before they could take flight. On another planet, a Council communications hub mysteriously went silent, its systems overridden by an unknown virus. When engineers finally restored power, one message played on every screen: "You exiled us. Now you face the consequences." The Council had expected a fleet to come marching in, weapons firing. Instead, they faced a silent enemy, an empire that struck from the shadows. Entire battle squadrons disappeared without a trace. Key generals were assassinated in their own chambers. Every strategic plan the Council made was already known, as if the humans could predict their every move. How are they doing this? One commander roared in frustration. It was then that they realized the horrifying truth. Humanity had infiltrated them. For years, sleeper agents, disguised operatives, and hacked systems had fed human intelligence everything about the Council's war plans. The war had already begun, and the Council was losing before they even fired their first shot. The unveiling of the human armada. For weeks, the Council tried to fight back, but every counterattack failed. Their supply lines were cut, their communications disrupted. Then, one day, humanity revealed itself. In the middle of a key Council system, thousands of human warships emerged from nowhere, uncloaking all at once. The human empire's fleet had arrived. The ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, sleek, dark, and forged with hybrid technology, stolen from the lost civilization they had discovered. Their hulls shimmered with unknown metals, and their weapons hummed with power that defied logic. The Council fleet, 3 times larger, moved to intercept. Their commanders still believed numbers would win. They were wrong. The battle lasted only minutes. Human ships moved faster, struck harder, and dodged every attack with impossible precision. Their energy shields absorbed entire barrages without a scratch. Their weapons, silent beams of pure destruction, sliced through enemy ships like paper. In the chaos, a Council warship sent a desperate message. "This is the 7th Fleet. We are being annihilated." Their technology, it's like fighting gods. Then, static. The fear spreads. The galaxy watched in shock and horror. Every news network, every ruling government, every species that once mocked humanity saw the truth unfold in real time. The Galactic Council, the mightiest force in the known universe, was crumbling before the return of the very race they had cast out. Riots broke out on council-controlled worlds. Some species called for surrender, others for revenge. And humanity. They simply watched, waiting. For years, they had been forced to watch as the galaxy left them for dead. Now, they controlled the future. The final message. With their armada victorious, humanity sent one final transmission to the Council. A single video feed. Admiral Pierce stood at the center, his eyes cold, unreadable. "You tried to erase us." His voice was calm, yet it carried the weight of an entire species. "You failed." The screen glitched, and behind him, an entire human fleet loomed, stretching so far that it disappeared into the void. A fleet bigger than anything the Council had ever imagined. "This is your only warning," Pierce continued. "Surrender or be erased from history as you try to erase us." The transmission cut off. The Council chamber sat in silence. And for the first time in its long, proud history, the Council surrendered. Humanity's power shocks the galaxy. The Galactic Council had fallen silent. Their once mighty fleets had been shattered. Their worlds trembled under the shadow of a new empire, one they had tried to erase. Across the galaxy, species who had once mocked humanity now whispered their name in fear, awe, and uncertainty. But humanity had not come for revenge. They had come to reshape the galaxy itself. The aftermath of surrender. The Council's surrender was unconditional, yet it was met with one question that haunted every species. What will humanity do now? Would they annihilate the Council, wipe out their enemies, and rule through fear? Or would they do something no one expected? High Chancellor Zorvek, the once mighty leader of the Council, stood in the ruins of his command chamber as human soldiers marched through the halls of the Council's homeworld. He expected execution, humiliation, the same exile he had once forced on humanity. Instead, he was brought before Admiral Jonathan Pierce, the man who had led humanity from exile to ascendancy. "You have two choices," Pierce said, his voice devoid of emotion. "You can kneel, and humanity will rule you as you ruled us." Zorvek straightened his back, his reptilian eyes burning with defiance. "And the second option. You stand beside us," Pierce said. "We don't want an empire built on slavery. We want an empire built on strength." For the first time, Zorvek saw the truth. Humanity was not here to destroy. They were here to lead. And that terrified him more than war ever could. The Great Restructuring. Within months, humanity had done what no species before them had even dared to attempt. They restructured the entire galactic order. The Galactic Council was dismantled, replaced with a new ruling body, one where every species had a voice, but where humanity stood as its unchallenged leaders. Old corrupt politicians vanished overnight. Some were executed, some simply disappeared. And in their place, humanity built a system of order, efficiency, and ruthless justice. War profiteers were dragged from their golden palaces. Banking guilds that had starved entire worlds were dismantled. The rich, powerful elite that had once ruled with impunity faced the consequences of their greed. To some, humanity's rule was a blessing, a chance to start fresh, free from the chains of corruption. To others, it was a nightmare, for they had thrived under the old system, and now, humanity's rise had rendered them obsolete. The message was clear. The weak would no longer control the strong. The impossible technology. But humanity's greatest revelation came not from war, but from the knowledge they had uncovered. With their stolen technologies from the lost civilization, they introduced advancements that shattered everything the galaxy once believed was possible. Self-repairing warships that could heal like living organisms. Gravity-forged armor that could resist even the deadliest weapons. Energy cores that defied physics, allowing ships to travel through uncharted realms of space. Even the most advanced species in the galaxy, the ones who had mocked humanity for being primitive centuries ago, now begged to learn from them. Humanity held the keys to a new future, and for the first time in history, every species had the same question. Would humanity share its power? The uprising of the old guard. Not everyone accepted this new galactic order. In the shadows, the old rulers plotted. Disgraced politicians, fallen warlords, and surviving council admirals formed a secret alliance. They called themselves the Pure Order, a coalition of species who refused to live under human rule. Using hidden fleets and mercenaries, they struck back. They assassinated key human leaders, bombed newly established cities, and spread propaganda that painted humanity as tyrants. They believed that if they could cripple humanity's empire before it fully solidified, they could take back control. They were wrong, because humanity had anticipated this, the wrath of the human empire. Humanity's response was swift, brutal, and utterly unforgiving. The Pure Order's hidden bases were wiped out within days, their fleets crushed in ambushes before they could even deploy. The warlords who had thought themselves untouchable woke up to find human assassins waiting in their chambers. There were no second chances, no mercy. In a final message, Admiral Pierce addressed the galaxy. The age of corruption is over. The old ways have died. We will not allow the weak to control the strong ever again. If you seek to restore the past, you will join it in extinction. The rebellion was over before it even began. The new galactic order. With the Pure Order crushed and humanity's dominance unchallenged, a new age began. The first human-led empire was officially declared. It was not an empire of conquest, but of unbreakable rule. The strong would lead, the weak would follow, and the corrupt would perish. Some species resented it. Some feared it, but many more embraced it, for in the chaos of the past, they had found only suffering. Under humanity's leadership, there was only order. The final warning. As humanity solidified its rule, one final mystery remained, the message from the lost civilization. They will return. The cycle never ends. Humanity's scientists had finally translated the full message hidden within the ruins of their adopted homeworld, and what they found shook them to their core. It was a warning, not about humanity, not about the Council, but about something else. Something far older than the Galactic Council. Something that had wiped out the civilization before them. And now, it was waking up. Admiral Pierce stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the incoming data from deep space probes. A massive unknown fleet, unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, was moving toward them from the void. The war for control was over. But the war for survival was just beginning. The ultimate decision. The galaxy had been reforged under human rule. The old empires were gone, their corrupt systems dismantled, their warlords either executed or forgotten. The first human-led empire had risen from exile, stronger than anyone could have imagined. But now, a greater threat loomed beyond the stars. The message from the lost civilization had been clear. They will return. The cycle never ends. And now, humanity's deep space probes had confirmed it. At the edge of the galaxy, past the furthest reaches of known space, something was coming. Something old. Something hungry. Something that had destroyed the last great civilization and was now moving toward humanity. The galaxy had just been reshaped. Now, it faced total extinction. The first contact with the forgotten enemy. Humanity's greatest minds gathered to analyze the data. The fleet approaching the galaxy was immense, its ships vast and grotesque, constructed from materials unknown to even humanity's advanced scanners. They traveled without engines, without signals, silent hunters moving through the void. They carried no known life signs, yet they operated with terrifying precision. And the worst part, the moment humanity's probes detected them, they changed course. They had noticed. "They're coming straight for us," whispered Dr. Evelyn Carter, head scientist of the human empire. Admiral Jonathan Pierce stood beside her, his face unreadable. "Then we're no longer just fighting for control," he said. "We're fighting for survival." The Council's plea. Word spread fast. Even the species who had once opposed humanity, Those who had plotted against them, fought them, tried to erase them, now begged for protection. Former Chancellor Zorvek, the once powerful leader of the Exiled Council, swallowed his pride and kneeled before the humans. "We called you a threat," he admitted. "We feared your strength. We exiled you because we thought you would destroy us." His golden reptilian eyes darkened. "But now we see the truth. The real destroyers were never you." He bowed his head. "Help us, or we all die." For the first time in history, the entire galaxy looked to humanity as its only hope. And humanity had a choice. They could turn their backs, let the former council and its allies perish, and emerge as the sole rulers of the galaxy. Or they could stand united against the coming storm. The ultimate decision had to be made. The choice of humanity. The Human Empire's War Council assembled. Generals, admirals, strategists, all debating the path forward. "Why should we help them?" growled General Vasquez. "They exiled us, hunted us, treated us like insects. Now they want protection. Let them burn." "They're fools," Commander Lin agreed. "But if this enemy is as powerful as the ruins suggest, then we can't fight them alone." Dr. Carter stood. "This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about survival. The civilization before us had technology even we couldn't fully comprehend, yet they still fell." Admiral Pierce remained silent. Every eye in the room turned to him. His decision would shape the fate of the galaxy. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "We fight." The room fell silent. "But not just for them," he continued. "Not for the ones who betrayed us. Not for the council that cast us out." His gaze hardened. "We fight because this is our galaxy now. And no one, not the old rulers, not the shadows of the past, and not these invaders, will take it from us." A slow realization spread through the council. This wasn't just a war for survival. This was humanity's final claim to power. If they won, they would not just rule the galaxy. They would own it. The greatest alliance in history. For the first time in galactic history, every species stood together. Former enemies became allies. Armies that had once fought against humanity now fought beside them. The greatest war machine ever assembled began to take shape, the combined strength of every major species, led by humanity's unmatched technological advancements. Human engineers unlocked the secrets of the lost civilization's archives, developing weapons capable of tearing through the unknown enemy's defenses. Colossal fleets were built in record time. Soldiers trained in combat techniques no species had ever attempted before. Humanity's finest warriors, their cyber-enhanced super soldiers, became the generals of the new age. And at the heart of it all stood Admiral Pierce, now Supreme Commander of the unified galactic forces. Humanity had been exiled, hunted, underestimated. Now they commanded the largest army the universe had ever seen. And just in time, because the enemy had finally arrived. The beginning of the final war. At the edge of known space, the first enemy ships emerged from the darkness. They were monstrous, unlike anything in the galaxy. Their hulls pulsed with organic metal, shifting and twisting like living things. They had no markings, no communications, no demands. A new galactic era begins. The battle for the galaxy had begun. At the edge of known space, a war unlike any before raged across the void. Humanity's empire, forged from exile and vengeance, now stood as the last hope for survival. The invaders, ancient, unknowable, relentless, came with a single purpose: to consume. But they had made one mistake. They thought this galaxy was theirs to take. They thought humanity was just another victim. They were wrong. The fire of defiance. The first clash was cataclysmic. Human warships, designed with reverse-engineered technology from the lost civilization, surged into battle. Their weapons burned with energies never before seen. Massive cannons ripped through the enemy's living ships, sending fire and organic metal screaming into the void. The aliens retaliated, their ships moving like predators, twisting and shifting as if space itself obeyed them. Planets crumbled in their wake. Moons shattered under their weapons. But humanity did not break. For every fleet lost, 2 more took its place. For every planet burned, 10 more were fortified. They had been exiled once. They had been hunted. Never again. The turning point. The war was brutal. The unified galactic forces, led by humanity, suffered immense losses. Entire species were wiped out, entire worlds left in ruin. But something was changing. The enemy was learning. They adapted, mutating mid-battle, shifting to counter humanity's technology. They began to resist the strongest weapons. Hope began to fade. And then, humanity did what no one expected. They adapted faster. The final weapon. Deep within the core of the lost civilization's archives, humanity's top scientists, engineers, strategists, visionaries, unlocked something terrifying. A weapon that had never been used before. A technology so advanced, even the long-dead civilization that had created it feared its own power. They called it the reality shard. A device capable of rewriting the very fabric of existence. Not just destroying ships. Not just winning battles. Erasing an enemy from time itself. It was the last gamble. If it worked, the invaders would be gone. Forever. If it failed, there would be no second chance. Admiral Pierce knew the risks. But he also knew humanity had never come this far just to kneel. "This is our galaxy," he said, standing on the bridge of the eternal dawn, the flagship of the human empire. And we are taking it back. With that, the reality shard was activated. The end of the war. Across the battlefield, the effect was instantaneous. The invaders screamed, their ships twisting as reality itself rejected them. Their weapons failed. Their bodies collapsed. And then, one by one, they vanished. Not destroyed. Not defeated. Erased. The battle that had seemed unwinnable was over in an instant. The ancient threat that had ended civilizations before was no more. The galaxy was saved. The dawn of a new age. The war was over, but the galaxy would never be the same. With the council destroyed, with the old rulers buried in history, only one power remained. Humanity. Their empire, once forged in exile, now stood undisputed. Admiral Pierce, now Emperor Pierce, addressed the galaxy. For too long, we were told we were lesser. We were cast aside, abandoned, forgotten. His eyes burned with the weight of history. But now, we do not ask for a place in the stars. We take it. The human age begins. With humanity at the helm, the galaxy entered a new golden era. No more corrupt politicians. No more wars for greed. Only progress, strength, unity. Humanity did not rule with fear. They ruled with undeniable power, and every species in the galaxy knew one truth. The age of exile was over. The age of humanity had begun. Epilogue. The Watchers in the dark. But in the cold depths of space, beyond the ruins of dead civilizations, beyond the reach of human warships, something stirred. A shadow older than time itself. A presence that had been waiting, watching. As humanity celebrated, as their empire spread across the stars, the Watchers in the dark took notice. And in the silence of the void, a single message pulsed through the unknown. The cycle never ends. They were only the beginning. We are coming. The true war had yet to begin.